All right, excellent. Well, welcome. You have the fine honor to be in my first podcast episode. So, um, as we go through this session, just bear with me. I'm quite new, so
Yeah, me too.
I'm totally chill, and we'll just start off on introducing yourself, how you got in the airsoft, and yeah, just go from there.
Cool, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's delightful to be on the first episode of your podcast. It's going to be cool. We'll see where it goes. Hopefully big things are to come. Uh, I'm Jagged. That's my call sign. John's my name. And yeah, so Airsoft. It's a grand adventure. I originally started playing Airsoft in 2018 and I was in South Dakota back then. And then I dropped out of the sport for a couple of years, did other things, and then this spring, the spring of 2024, I was like, you know what, I'm going to pick this back up. So I've been getting back into it this year.
Oh, awesome. So 2018, it had to been what, about 6 years ago?
Yep, yep,
Oh,
yeah, a
nice.
spell. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. How long were you in it before you took a break?
Mm, I'd say probably about 6 months or so. I played out there in South Dakota just with various people, whoever was around. It was more the backyard play style, go meet up with people in a forest and shoot each other.
Ah,
And
nice.
not as organized. Yeah.
Ah, nice. Yeah, I kind of have a similar background with myself. It's if I remember correctly, and of course it's hard to remember everything these days, but if I remember right, I first got into it when I was in around high school. So that had to been back in between 2003 to 2007.
Okay.
And I was only in for a few years, and of course, after I graduated, I got out of it, focused on my career, and then what, all these years later, had recently got back into it, and by golly, I was quite shocked on some of the improvements that's been made
Oh,
within that,
yes.
that time frame that's passed. So it, I'm sure you have similar feelings on certain, improvements as well, even though it was just 6 years ago. But
Yeah,
it's
oh, yeah.
it's quite remarkable how this community has like drastically evolved over
Truly.
time. And
Hmm.
so it's these days what we have a rocket launcher now,
Oh,
and
yeah.
uh
Just
and
picked up.
not just M4s but
Mhm.
AK-47s and pistols and grenades and all that jazz. And it's just, yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite
Oh,
cool.
it has come a long way. My original gun, uh, my first real nice airsoft gun, I thought at the time at least, was I picked up at that time a Lancer Tactical Gen 1. So the original Junker Tactical. And I ran that for that first 6 month period or so. And funny thing is that actually ended up getting stolen from me later on in life, but that is what it is. But Lancer Tactical alone is, they've come so far from what they used to be to what they are now, and that's
Oh
just,
yeah.
it's incredible.
Oh, absolutely. And sorry to hear that got stolen from you. I know the fear out of that
Yeah.
because I've had some things that disappeared, but with the latest technology these days, I mean, I have especially my big items, I have
Mhm.
trackers on everything, mostly
Yeah.
everything I own,
Yeah.
and all the way from bags to actually trackers on the weapon itself or airsoft gun.
Yeah.
So if something happens to it, I'll be able to track it and knock on their door, be like, hey, you happen to found something like this and it's kind of in your possession, see how
Yeah.
they
Yeah. Yeah.
react, right?
Yes.
So
That's
it's
subtle.
yeah, and you have to worry about that, yeah, even more so, I would believe, these days, because especially with
Yeah.
the grenades, I mean,
Hmm.
it's so easy to throw those things, use them, and then, especially with the gas powered ones, you have to go back and get them,
Yeah.
right? But sometimes they're not there where you left them,
Yeah.
and
No, that's for sure.
yeah, it's really easy
Yeah.
for someone to take advantage of that.
Yeah. And you're like, did it get kicked under a staircase or did somebody just, accidentally put it in their pocket? You never know.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely. And there's there's other members of our team that actually has a gas grenade, and what he did was he marked it in a certain way so you know it's his even from a distance,
Hmm.
and it's quite smart to do that.
Yeah, yeah. All of my M4 mags are drawn on or lettered, or they have little designs on them that I've done with markers to be like, okay, well, I'm sure you had a magazine with a Kilroy was here nose on it or something like that. It's like,
Yeah,
you know, personalization, and you can be like, interesting that that found its way into your gear, isn't it?
yeah. And humans are humans. I mean, for the most part, I think when it happens, it's by accident.
Oh yeah,
But you definitely have some characters out there that definitely take advantage. I mean, that's definitely for sure.
for
There's even
sure.
YouTube videos on stuff like this too,
Oh yeah.
um, and a guy I saw a YouTube video where a guy had a one of those air tags that was actually embedded inside the gas grenade, and it
Hmm.
went missing. So he started tracking it with his phone, and then it kept dinging the closer he got to this player.
Uh-huh.
And he kept telling him, "Hey, I think you have my grenade. You have a
Yeah.
grenade? No, I don't have a grenade. Don't worry about it." I'm like, are you sure? Because this phone is pointing straight at you, and it's giving me
Uh,
the arrow, and it's pointing right at you, bud.
hmm.
And then after some pressure, he just finally, kind of threw it on the side and just walked off like he didn't actually had it. But he's like, "Come
Yeah.
on, man! I just saw you through it."
Yeah.
So trying to
Yeah.
cover his tracks, right?
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah. No, it's sad, the deterioration of honor, but I guess it comes with society a little bit, you know. But
no, I
yeah,
just
no.
blame it on humans. It's kind of the
Yeah,
default
yeah.
easy
It
response. If they're
is,
all cyborgs, we wouldn't have that problem.
true. So, yeah. No, but for for me it's a thing, like especially with the mags, that in almost any game people will be like, "Oh, you got a extra M4 mag? Sure, here you go," And then so having those marked so I get them back at the end of the day is handy.
Oh
I have
yeah.
like I carry like weekend scrimmages, I carry 10 M4 mags, high caps, so about 3,000 rounds. So it's like anybody who's on the field with a rental, you know, come hit me up, grab a mag, and get back in the gameplay.
Yeah.
So,
And that's cool. And I've seen other people have, of course, I call it a collection where they are dragging out their entire gear on what do you call those things? A pulley or I forgot what you
uh,
call those things. It's like little
oh,
wagons.
the carts, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Spaz
carts.
has one of those, and I might have to get one because even I don't bring my entire kit to the field, but like even what I do end up usually taking is like, okay, well, I could use a cart for this. So, yeah.
And being honest, I'm kind of jealous when they do that, when they bring the cart out because,
Mm,
you know, I'm, I'm an older person. I'm married. I have kid.
yeah.
So everything I get obviously has to be budgeted accordingly. And then of course, since I'm married, everything has to be approved.
Yeah.
And it's my collection is not as extensive that I would
Yeah.
like it to be. And I don't know, maybe someday I can have a full wall worth of toys,
Yeah.
you know.
I know what you mean. I'm it's such an easy hobby to spend money, and I mean this flag right here, I don't remember if you had seen that M1 Garand. I got the ICS M1 Garand. I got it from a guy there at Fox, and he had it for, I think I paid 200 or something like that for it, and it wasn't firing. Turned out it was just a loose wire on the back of the
Loose
motor.
wire.
Yeah, and they retail for like $500, but so then instead of paying $500, I spent like $200 on a flag, and then I've got some World War II USMC camouflage to go with it and stuff like that. So, so it's easy to spend money in.
Yeah, but you kind of have an advantage at this point moment in time is one, you're not married, so you
Yeah,
don't really have to have approval,
yeah.
I would assume. and
No,
and
I just have to be like, oh, my money's gone. Where'd that? I thought I had more. Thought I had more of
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is I didn't know this until recently that you actually have a big property. right? So
Yeah,
if you want,
fairly
you can go
decent.
out and test your toys
Hmm.
without someone calling the cops, for well, in
Yeah.
my case, someone threatening to call the cops because I removed an orange tip.
Oh yeah, I I saw that video and I had to laugh because I was like, man, when I originally started in South Dakota, like I think was playing the second week after I got started, and um, I was talking to a guy, and he goes, "Yeah, here's how you take the tip off of that thing if you want it to actually look real." So it was one of the first things I learned how to do. I was like, okay, you
Yeah,
know,
it's not that hard either. I mean, as long as you know what you're doing,
oh
and
no,
as long as you're like in my case, I'm pretty efficient at it now. I mean, I
yeah,
could take that thing off within 5 minutes.
yep,
So
yep,
but but people that are not aware, um, they can
hmm,
overreact. And in my particular case, what you're referring to, the orange tip removal video that I just recently
yep,
posted, had some comments on there saying next step being arrested.
yeah,
And
uh,
I'm like being arrested for what?
yeah,
And then of course, what most people don't hear off of that video is the backstory is that a neighbor was concerned and
hmm,
was aware of the posted video and was threatening to call the cops on me for potentially putting the society at risk. I think that was the exact quote.
yeah,
And here I'm thinking, obviously they don't understand the laws and they're kind of emotionally reacting.
of
And
course,
and it was quite funny that I had an off-duty cop that, yeah, me and him are friends and we're
hmm,
neighbors as well, and come up to me and say, "Hey man, this is just, off the books. I'm not really telling you stuff officially, but yeah, we had a Karen that was basically
hmm,
threatening to go to the cops, and I had to speak with them and basically explain that, hey, you know,
yeah,
this neighbor down the street, he's not violating any laws. So
yep,
as long as that he's not shipping it, I think that's what he said. If he's
that's
not
the
shipping
main
it,
thing.
then yeah,
Hmm.
then he's fine. But the one thing he told me though, which I find kind of funny, was that apparently the Karen kept pushing that
Uh-huh.
concern. And what I was told, and again, take it with a grain of salt because I didn't hear it directly, it's hearsay. But
Hmm.
what I was told was that they said that it's still a risk to society, and they're going to contact their representatives locally try to what's the word? Try to aggravate, not aggravate. Sorry, it's try to promote a
Hmm.
law change in the state for that.
Wow.
I'm like, only thing I did was posted a video,
Yeah.
so it, come on. And the off-duty cop was like laughing with me saying, "Don't worry, this Karen complains about a whole lot of stuff, and it's just all talk."
Yeah.
So
I'm
don't.
I was sitting there like, man, should I post the comment being like, okay, no, the next real step is to make a video on how to spray paint the end of a real steel orange.
Yeah, I
Sure,
know,
that would
right?
delight them to no end, you know?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
so yeah,
But
yeah,
it's the world we live in,
it
unfortunately,
is.
and
Yeah.
and with the gun community becoming more of a target these days for political purposes, it's just
Yeah.
you're gonna run into stuff like this, even in airsoft. It's kind of
Of
kind of
course.
ridiculous.
Yeah, of course.
So
Well, I feel like there's a category of people that just they can't be happy with themselves unless they're messing with somebody else. And that's kind of funny to me. I grew up in the country where leaving everyone alone was the best way to survive, the best way to live your life, be happy, prosperous, ignore your neighbors completely and just get together for fun things, barbecues or whatever, and not have to mind everybody else's business for
yeah,
them. So,
yeah, and me with throughout my years, I grew up mostly in the Midwest. So I
hmm,
lived in of course, I lived all over the United States, but for
yeah.
most of my life, it's in the Midwest. And you're talking about like Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, that type of region, and they're a
Hmm,
little bit more reserved, right?
yeah.
What based upon what you're describing, but also family oriented as well. And
Yeah.
and just to give you an example, if your car breaks down, especially out in the country, I mean, two or three
Hmm.
people pull over to see if you're doing okay, if you need
Oh
help,
yeah, yeah,
right?
100%. Hmm.
And unfortunately, in other parts of the country, you won't see anything like that.
Yeah,
It's
it's a very
it's
interesting dynamic. I see that shift. Up where I am, we grew up. If somebody was stuck in the ditch, you pulled over and helped them. And now with the influence of various other groups of people from other states showing up in great abundance in Colorado. I'm not saying like it's California or wherever. It's just there's so many other states moving here. It's not as common to see somebody pull off and help you get out of the ditch, or for you to pull off and help somebody get out of the ditch. It's a different thing than it used to be.
yeah, yeah. But keep positive. Maybe things will work out
Oh yeah,
and it'll balance
absolutely.
out.
I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like they do. Inevitably, things have to balance out to a degree. Just that's how the world functions. There are extremes, but the pendulum always swings back and forth. But the center balance is there. You just have to find it and make it work.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And but you know, my default response is it's just another day in paradise. Just
True,
keep a smile,
absolutely. Yep,
right?
yep. Yeah.
So all right, excellent. Well, um,
Mhm.
feel free to do you recall how we first met? Just as
Well,
the next question.
I know it was involved with Spaz because we both showed up at a team day down at Fox. I know that. I'm not sure what date that would have been, but I thinking it must have been around the end of June, maybe somewhere in that area. Sounds about right.
Yeah,
Um,
and I didn't know you were part of the team,
yeah,
and
because I joined early.
we were on separate teams.
Hmm.
And matter of fact, I actually found the photo off of my GoPro of when I first shot you, and I guess I
Ah,
first officially met you when I first
yes,
shot you.
yes, that would
Well,
make sense.
let me see if I can find it here in the
Okay.
archives. Oh, there we go. There you are. So let me try to share my screen here so we
Hmm.
can show the audience your pretty face right before you got shot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. I remember that day.
Yeah,
I was running
that
my
was
short little M4 there. That let's see, why did I? Oh yeah, that's before I took the suppressor off that gun and redid the entire barrel and stuff on it.
yeah, yeah. I do
Yep.
recall that was gone. I think like maybe a few weeks after that, if I
Probably.
recall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's changed a lot. That gun has.
yeah, and I remember that moment too. And of course, it's kind of odd, right, where you kind of remember certain moments when you meet people.
Yeah.
But the only reason why I remember it is because I realized later that was you, and I was like, oh my gosh, And then I shared this photo to you. I was like, is that you? And you're like, yep, that's me. I'm
Yep.
like, ah, geez. But I remember this exact moment. I mean, just to describe to the
Hmm.
audience here is that I was wearing obviously earmuffs, and my earmuffs is quite sensitive. So as long as I'm not wearing the walkie-talkie
Hmm.
attachment module, um, it's very sensitive. So I can actually hear when people are actually either right next to the wall or adjacent wall,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I heard movement, where you're at essentially. And then when I heard it, I was like, okay. So I pointed my rifle at that direction, and then I
Hmm.
saw part of your shadow at the end. It was part of your weapon, so that gave me at least a 2 second warning. And
Yeah.
then right when you popped your head out, then I immediately fired.
Yep. Yeah,
And then you're
shadows are deadly.
yeah, it's a definite giveaway. So you gotta obviously, when you advance, you gotta keep in mind on your shadow giving your position
Hmm.
away.
Hmm.
So, but I remember what you said right after I shot you. You immediately smiled and you waved and you said nice, a very
Yep.
polite way.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
that's my go-to almost. It's I typically am like, if somebody gets a really nice shot of me, I'm so like, oh, that's killer. That's awesome.
Yeah, and this is after you got shot too. And as I was describing, being very polite and congratulating me for the kill. So it's
Yeah.
and giving a wave. So yeah, that's what I recall in our first engagement.
hmm Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the playing out there in South Dakota, uh, originally playing woods ball, I think is what the term is for it. Um, when you get together and you start playing with a group of friends like that for your very first few times, I think that helps you to just learn to be like more polite and friendly than being thrown in the mix, and because like you're like playing with friends and you appreciate like the skill level a little more and stuff, if you get started that way, I feel like.
All right,
So
excellent. Yeah, good deal. Definitely would like to see that for sure.
yeah.
So great. I mean, that's you talked about a little bit of how how we met and
Mhm.
then briefly described um your past in airsoft. I mean, just out of curiosity, I mean, what keeps you interested in the sport?
I think one of the biggest things for me is really the camaraderie, the companionship. Sure, there's toxic people in any community, but there's a lot more people in the airsoft community to come back for and hang out with. And, whether you're on the field or off the field, you just build a lot better memories. I think I would say it's one of the most sportsman friendly communities to be in. Like you join uh, unless you're in a really weird area and environment, for the most part, you go to a field where there's airsoft and it's your first time out, there'll be people there to help you. And, like, it's just, it's a great sport for beginning and sticking with, and then you get established a little bit. And then now you're the one helping people out and being like, check this out, try that, whatever the case may be. It's a good user friendly sport, and I really like that about it.
Oh, and yeah, I personally have to concur with that because I had a podcast. I was invited to a podcast episode with E-Rock. I think that's his
Mm-hmm.
name.
Yeah.
And I was basically explaining to him that, what I briefly told you earlier in the beginning of this episode was that I originally originally started into airsoft back in 2023 or no, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
2003. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was only in it for a few years and then I got out of it and I've been out of it for all these years and I just suddenly got back into it just recently. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
recently, I'm talking about like February, March of this year. So not very
Yep.
long.
Yeah.
And and of course, the only reason why I got into it is because I was trying to improve what was going on with my foot. I was trying to make it more,
Yeah.
how should I say, it kind of exercise the foot, get it back into give me a justification or basically gives me a reason to go out and exercise, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So, but on the first time I went out to Fox Airsoft, I was kind of on the fence. I mean, I was by myself with someone with a little bit of a limp of a foot, and
Mm-hmm.
there was no interactions. No one really, how should I say, invited me or assisted with me or whatnot. I was just there and I was just kind of winging it. And
Mm-hmm.
then, so after the first time I was there, I talked to my wife and told her, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to continue this. I mean, I'm not trying to be
Mm-hmm.
mean, but it's like I didn't really feel like I was like having fun, and nor was I part of the group or whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
she suggested me to give it another try, go back out there and just see what happens, And on my second visit to Fox Airsoft, that's when I met Spaz, and he
Mm-hmm.
was on the line or in line waiting
Yeah.
alongside me. And then
Uh-huh.
we started talking about interests. And then as soon as I told him a little bit what I just told you about my background, he's like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome. I mean, how about you just tag up with me? If you want, you can
Mm-hmm.
share with my table. And then we can be tagged up and I'll be with you every step of the way and be on the
Yeah.
same team and go from there." And that was a game changer because it was thanks to that
Absolutely.
little gesture that
Yep.
basically brought me back from the brink of not coming back. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, through him, I was able to become more motivated in the sport and got a little bit more into it because, as you know, now I'm like fully dressed for it now.
Yep.
So
Yeah, you're all
it's
set.
yes, sir. And so, of course, I like to tinker with things. So I started taking the guns apart and started figuring out how they work. And it was
Hmm.
kind of cool when the spring popped out. I was like,
Oh
oh, so
boy.
that's what that thing does.
Yep.
so, so
Yep.
anyway, just stuff like that. But again, it was Spaz that helped on that direction of it,
Hmm.
right? Helped me
Yep.
come back to the brink of it. And of course, I met other incredible people as well. I met the Grinch, which didn't
Hmm.
realize that I actually engaged against him several times, not realizing it
Yep.
was him because I actually
Yep.
follow them on YouTube.
Yes.
And so it's just kind of funny how all that turned out. And of course, I met others like you and I can't pronounce. Forgive me on this English term. Is it Hansen? Hasten?
Oh, Hassan.
Hassan. Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
No. Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully, he doesn't make fun of me if he reaches to this point of the episode. But Hassan. Okay. So,
Yeah.
I met other great people and great interactions and
Mhm.
then and of course our group keeps growing, right? And
Oh man.
there's
Yeah.
yeah, especially like um other members like uh again, I'm gonna brain fart, forgive me, but I think it's Shadow. Yeah, Shadow.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so she
Spaz's
came
girl.
out, yeah. She
Mhm.
came out very, also very positive and helpful with the group and
Mhm.
just seeing stuff like that happening, especially when the community is really cool. So
Yeah.
that's it's definitely worth going. And 'I'll
100%.
be perfectly honest, I was kind of, especially on the first day I was out there, is that I was a little bit concerned because again, not trying to be mean, but I think I was
Mhm.
like double the age of most people out there and
Mhm.
on the field. So I was like, okay, well, is this even like something for me
Yeah.
to take seriously on? But I quickly realized that there was others or younger
Mhm.
and also a lot older than me that was also playing the sport. So it was encouraging to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I have to agree. Yeah. Spaz is he's quite the character. I think I played at Fox for maybe a month or two before I joined Legions. But that was because that was at a point in time when Spaz, he wasn't there a lot during that period. I'm not sure why, but yeah, for some reason, our paths didn't cross. I think they crossed like once, and then I didn't see him for like maybe 2 months or something like that. And then I ran into him again. And so, yeah, it took a little time of playing there, but I made great friends with some of the people at Fox. Um, Hunter Foxman, who hopefully he'll be back soon. He's been out taking care of himself, which is good and important. But yeah, I ran into him. He was one of the guys that stood out to me at first because he has that unique loadout with the fox pelt
Fox,
on his
yeah.
kit.
It's easy
Yeah.
to identify them. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, but made some good friends like that and whatnot.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool about this is making the the friendship, expanding the community through there. And it's just it's kind of cool, especially some of the people you meet.
Yeah.
But all right, well, let me go on a commercial break.
Okay.
We'll start back up here in a minute. And
Bet.
then yeah, we'll see where the conversation goes.
Alrighty. We'll see you in a second.
All right,
All
excellent.
right.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you. Nothing like a quick break to take a pause.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely for sure. So you have something to show.
I do. So that gun in the picture that uh, was up on the screen there a minute ago, this is that gun now. You can see the
Nice.
suppressor's gone. It has a Ace Tech tracer unit and extended barrel. And so I've basically rebuilt this gun. Um, it has a brushless motor in it, which gives me with a 7.4 volt lipo, it produces 36,000 revolutions per minute. And then with an 11.1, it produces 56,000 revolutions per minute. So it's super fast.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
little bit, yeah.
that looks pretty slick. I mean,
Oh, yeah. It's come a long way.
what's the joules out of that thing?
I think it shoots right about 9.9, that is.
0.9.
Yeah, 9 would be a heck of a lot.
Yeah, well, just give it another 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
When we all have mech suits.
exactly, because I remember like back in 2003 through 2007 when I was into it back then, it was
Mhm.
nowhere near, you know, 1 joule. It was, I remember
Yeah.
back then, at least that I recall, it wasn't measured in joules, it was measured in feet. So I remember
Yeah.
my pistol only firing in feet, like 50 feet.
Yeah.
And these days you can get up to 200, like 200 to 250 for 1.4 or 1.5 joules.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, that's a significant improvement.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the FPS on it is now. The stock Lancer that I started with, the FPS on that was 375, and it was like zero point 0.7 joules, I think. So I'm sure the FPS is higher now than it was then too. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
cool. I mean, it looks like a nice piece of to your arsenal.
Oh yeah, it's enjoyable. It's my CQB gun, because the other gun I have is way too long for CQB, but I use it anyway.
Well, nothing's too long these days. Well,
I don't know. I was running around with a Barrett one day, and that you can't CQB with a Barrett.
uh, but still, it'd be pretty cool to see.
Oh yeah,
That's for
it
sure.
yeah. That's a project build that's on my workbench still. I replaced the. It was a Spring Galaxy Spring Barrett, and I replaced the spring system with a CO2 and nozzle. But I still need a tight barrel, and I want to make it. I'm thinking probably like 650 millimeter tight inner barrel, and then obviously an advanced hopping and bucking and all the good stuff to go with that.
Nice, nice. And do you have any other projects you're currently working on?
Well, I'm not really working on it per se, but I've got this one here. This is my more common gun that you'll see me run most days because I finally got its barrel in it. It's caught on the other ones. There we go. So this one, you can see it's quite a bit
Nice.
longer, but yeah, it's
That
got
looks like
a.
it's been painted.
Yeah, I did the paint job on this, actually, because I went to that event out there in Rifle a couple of weeks ago, and so I did the paint job on this for that. Uh, it has a 6.2 inner barrel, which is 500 millimeters, right on 500, I think. I'd have to look, but it's considerably longer than the one that was in it. Um, and so yeah, between that and then I upgraded the gearbox. I want to put a new motor in that one as well, and I'll probably end up putting in a uh, max hop and a maple bucking. And but I was running that with a what are the batteries that are super safe, or not super safe but safer? Lion
Lion.
Lion battery. And so yeah, I was running it with a 11.1 Lion, and it was a beast. It didn't really have the range for forest ball because everything was 400 feet, 600 feet. It's hard to, without HPA, it's hard to get stuff tuned out at that
Oh
range.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
spray and pray works. So
Yeah. That's the truth.
yep. But yeah, so I played that there. had a great time at that event. I may or may not have got 2 kills. I'm not sure. Neither of them ever got confirmed. So, you know, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Well, feel free to tell the audience about your YouTube channel.
Oh yeah. So
Feel free to share your
that's
screen if you want, if you want to
that's
show it.
brand new. Sure, yeah. That's brand new. I gotta figure out how to share this really quick. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. That I don't know if that's it or not. Hang on. That's video.
Yeah, it just prompted me to allow you to share. So I just said yes on my
Okay.
side of it.
Let's see then. Yes, there we go. Cool. Okay. Let's go there. Let's see. We'll do that. And then, okay. So, yeah. So I've just started this channel. I
Yeah, feel
ran,
free to put it full screen if you can.
yeah, I'm going to see if I should be able to. If nothing else, I can make it large. Um, Originally, I've had a YouTube channel just under my name for a few years. Um, but I started this one because I was like, I
Yeah,
want to do some
click
dedicated.
click view channel right there.
Yeah, yeah,
There
yeah.
we go.
There we go. So yeah, I was like, I want to do a dedicated airsoft channel, and so I put together call sign Jagged. I was like, I'll just take my call sign and make a YouTube name out of it. And so so far we're 4 videos in. I've got another one in the works from September when I played at Dynamic with Hassan and Paladin, which is Morgan from Legions. So there's another video in the works. Obviously, the I had a problem with my car. The audience probably doesn't know this. I had a problem with my car, so that set my YouTube schedule way back. But I finally got my Midnight Massacre video out about just under 2 weeks ago, and then so that was filmed the night before I played at Dynamic. And then so now we're working on the video from Dynamic, which was September 20 something. It was the third week of September. So that's that's just a little example of the lag between film and then the videos actually hitting my channel at this
No,
point.
I wouldn't worry about that because as you well know, with my video postings, it could be
Mm-hmm.
up to a month before,
Oh yeah.
before I'm actually able to post an actual video. Of course, I post shorts quite often, but
Yeah, yeah.
of course they're easier because you could do it within, well, if you're pretty efficient at it, you could do it within a minute.
Yeah.
And but those videos, full-blown videos, they take extra time, as you well know. You got to edit the different layers and make sure it
Mm-hmm.
timed perfectly, and it's just a lot of steps involved to get one
Absolutely.
produced.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so this one here, the Airsoft Midnight Massacre video right there, it's 8 minutes and 3 seconds. And I think overall editing time was just under 12 hours of editing, sitting down, working on stuff. So, you
Yeah,
know,
that's a significant amount of
consistent.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So,
yeah, for sure. But I mean, just from one YouTuber to another, once you establish your of course, I call it pipelines. If to
mhm.
the audience, if you're into programming or development, you kind of understand the terminology when I say pipelines. But basically, once you establish that streamline
Yeah.
process, then it's just like manufacturing a car through a plant. You're going through phases, and then you become
Hmm.
so efficient at it to where the amount of time of manually or the amount of time of you editing starts to shrink
Hmm.
significantly. And
Right.
in my particular case, I was able to establish the pipelines by already having templates that I
Hmm.
created, and then I just after when I go from one video to another, I'm just reusing the same template but refilling in the parameter of the video. So
Right. Right.
it cuts the time down significantly, at
And
least in my particular case.
yeah, I think as you get going, like I've seen that with my channel that I've had for years, yes, all my videos are all over the place. So one will do 20 views and the other will do 500. But I've realized that there are the things that you learn that work, and then that becomes your established set. And so as this channel gets bigger, and grows and whatnot, I'll figure out what works well with this particular niche
Oh,
and so
absolutely.
forth.
And just so you know, I mean, when you first started this, you significantly improved. So I
Oh
can
yeah.
definitely see your progression, your progress of getting better and
Hmm.
more efficient for each video that you're posting. And I think the
Right.
last one that you posted, you had like what looked like a tracker or
Hmm.
crosshairs, if I remember
Yes.
correct. So
Yes.
that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's different. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that took time to perfect and basically figure out and then implement
Hmm.
and into the video production. So that was kind of cool when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's neat, you know.
Yeah, I have to say kudos to Android for having what's the name of this app here? Let's see. It is called I virtually use it for everything on my video editing and thumbnail editing now. It's called background eraser. And so
Background
you
eraser.
can, yeah, you just draw or find a pop art of what you need, and you can pull the background out of it. Then you can throw it in your video, and that's what I did. And that was one of the things I realized going through that last video too. Is like, man, going through frame by frame for placing a little crosshair on stuff that can take a lot of time.
It certainly can, and of course, as you progress, you'll believe me, you'll find ways to be more efficient.
Oh,
You're
for sure.
so just give it time. But I mean, you're doing
Mhm.
great. You're progressing in this very well.
Thank you.
Um, and it's kind of cool to see stuff like this being built from the ground up when it first starts because you see it
Hmm.
grow and it's you start to compare, especially as time goes on, like years down the road, you start comparing how things used to be and how they are now, and it's kind of
Hmm.
cool to see that.
Yeah, yeah. I have to admit, yeah, it. I kind of was surprised too because I went back and watched that first video, which is that one there, Objectives 101. I watched that and then compared it to the one that I just posted, and I was like, within about a month of each other, the difference in the editing and obviously the time that I put into both videos. I think I did about 4 hours of editing on Objectives 101 and then about 12 on the other one. So it's like, you know, more time editing, but a lot more polished product out of that second video.
Oh yeah,
So,
oh yeah, but it looks great. I love it. Um, and of course, when anybody starts up a new YouTube channel from the ground up,
mm-hmm.
having a few subscribers, don't be discouraged because
Oh,
as you
no.
more you get, the faster you get them, if that
Oh,
makes
true.
sense.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
it is. It's a curve, as you get going. And I've seen that with my other channel. Like as you get going, then your stuff gets, put in front of more people, and then more people are like, "Oh yeah, this looks good." So,
yeah, absolutely. And if you have other social platforms, I would highly utilize them to promote your
oh,
channel
100%.
because me myself I use X, which used to be
Hmm.
Twitter, so I post on that like every week.
Yep.
So and I also have Instagram as well, and it's just echo chamber, so you kind of
Hmm.
promote what's going on your YouTube channel in this particular case, and it helps
Yep.
you actually get more audience
Hmm.
because when you do the video analysis, in my
Yep.
particular case, I found out quite quickly that just on one of my social platforms alone, I'm getting about 30% of my clicks is coming from that one platform. So
Sure.
it's like, oh, okay. So if I have other platforms, then that could reach out to other audiences and it would increase traffic even more. And so you just
Hmm.
start off with that, and it just over time, it just gradually gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, I've been thinking along those lines too because I post virtually every video that I pull up and put on call sign Jagged here. I post a link over to my groups in Facebook, like I'm in different airsoft groups there, Wasps, which is my team. I post it to like Colorado Backcountry Airsoft, various other unsundry airsoft groups, and it pushes people in, and I'll throw it in Discord and whatnot too. So um, that's a goal for the by the end of the year. I want to have all my uh, public social stuff linked, like Wasp's team Discord will be linked to the channel as well as the Facebook page. I'll probably start doing Instagram again, even though I've dropped off of that over the last few years. I might start pushing that again as well.
Yeah, definitely. And if you decide to get into X, let me know because I can
Hmm.
help you on some starter points with that. Because
Okay.
because that uh, when Elon Musk took over the platform, it's
Hmm.
not as anti shadow gun. I don't know how to phrase it. It's
Shadow
not
ban.
shadow banning your gun
Hmm.
posts, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's airsoft, but because it looks like a real firearm, they suppress it. But when he took over that, I think it was like within a few months, um, things started to get a lot better on that front.
Hmm.
And not just that, I think Elon did a test maybe a month ago where he posted a gun symbol and he says, "Well, it looks like I'm not being shadow banned, so it looks like it's working."
Hmm.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, that's a good sign."
Yeah.
So, if you're interested in that, again, let me know because that could also help with your
Yeah.
audience as well.
Yeah, I would like to push that. I've got to figure out how to get it all set up with my computer, which I will do. It's one thing in the other 600,000 things list.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly. I understand that because of the
yep,
queue list. It always,
hmm,
especially in my case, it always gets bigger.
yep,
So it
yep.
never gets
It doesn't
smaller.
decrease. And I like you were saying earlier, I'm a single guy, but that doesn't stop me from pushing me. So I've got so much on my plate right now. It's a lot. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So only do what you can do and also do
Hmm.
what you enjoy,
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this is if you enjoy it, then it just makes working on it that much more what would be the proper word? That much more encouraging to produce more. Maybe that's the right
Oh, for
word.
sure. Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of funny too, because I've been binge watching Trifecta uh for like a month or so. Whenever it was you went on, I found their channel because I went and watched your interview on his podcast. And I was like, this is pretty good. So I've been binge watching that, and I went and watched Spaz and Grinch's episodes, especially, and stuff like that. And it made me think, I would love to get together. I'm trying to organize with legions and get everybody who's interested to all get together, and we could go on Trifecta and maybe get like 5 or 6 of the legions team on there at once, and that would be interesting.
no, yeah, definitely. Definitely for sure. And of course that encourages teamwork and more cooperation and everyone has fun, right? So it's
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Well, awesome. I mean, very cool. Thanks for showing your channel to everyone.
Absolutely, 100%. It's been a great adventure to start this channel, and watching it, in a month, watching it hit 19 subscribers. That sounds like nothing on YouTube, but for the first month, that kind of is fun. I think it took me probably a year and a half before I hit 10 subscribers on my original channel. So, you know,
Yeah, and of course, once you know the tricks, you'll start growing pretty fast.
for sure.
And and especially these days, I mean, just to give a free advice to anyone that's listening, but if you want to get subscribers quickly, you want to focus on the shorts first.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
then, once your subscribers are a little bit higher, just a little bit higher, doesn't mean very much. But once it's higher, then you can balance that out with your video production to get the airtime, or not the
Hmm.
airtime, but the hours watched requirement, right?
Yeah.
So, and then as one's increasing versus the other, you can balance that out as your channel grows.
Hmm. I think one of the big keys on that too is, like you'll see it if you have a short that's a clip out of a video. That really, really helps pull people in and be like, oh, I want to go check out the rest of this. You
Oh,
know.
absolutely. I do that myself.
Yep.
Eh, so it that does it. And as long as you advertise it effectively, then it can certainly help
Hmm.
you out.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep. So, yeah, absolutely. On a unrelated tangent, I was thinking, the story of how I ended up on Legions is kind of a funny story for
Oh,
the
absolutely.
audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell about it.
So, for the audience, Legions is a group here in Colorado, which when I joined was almost dead in the water. It had, like a couple new members, but over the last 5 months or so, I think we put in I eight, maybe 10 new people just in the last couple months. It's growing. Um, but yeah, how I ended up on Legions is funny. I went to play at Fox, which is Flat Acres Farms in Parker, for a night game. It was the first night game I ever have tried playing since they've invented things like tracers and stuff like that. The last time I'd played before was in South Dakota, and tracers were, I think they were on the market, but they were just beginning. They were pretty primitive. Um, but yeah, so I'm out there playing, and I actually got the drop on Spaz in prison. He's sitting in the cell in the prison building in cell 3, which has two entrances. And I pull up in there, and I'm ready to shoot him, and I realize my battery's dead. So it was like, oh man, but I had him dead rights. And then at the end of the night, we got talking. I was like, it's so funny that I pulled up on you, and I knew you were in there, and I could have killed you, but my battery was dead. And by the end of the night, he was like, you should join our team. And so that's kind of how I ended up in Legions, which is interesting. You
Yeah,
know.
that's pretty funny. And I can relate to that because of course in my situation it wasn't a night game, but before I fixed this issue,
Hmm.
sometimes when you're running, especially where the safety is versus semi and
Hmm.
full auto, um, sometimes I would accidentally bump that switch
Oh, yep.
and it would go to safe. And then right when I'm popping around a corner, I'm about to kill the guy, nothing's
Hmm.
coming out. I was like,
Yep.
what? And then he turns around and shoots me.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? I mean, what's going on here? And then I checked it. I was like, oh, okay, it's on safety. So
Definitely been there.
so after I think it happened to me twice, I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm gonna fix this, and
Mhm.
it's now fixed. It
Yeah,
doesn't do that
there you go.
anymore.
Yeah. No,
So
that's a muscle memory thing too. And I occasionally will still do that, but like when I first began playing back in the day, I would come up on people all the time, and then I'd be like, come on, come on. Oh, flip. And I'd be like, oh, I'm dead now. It's too late. But yeah. So
yeah, that's just it's very common. I've
yeah.
noticed, and not just that, but even situation that you just described about your battery being dead.
Yep.
That's I mean, I've seen that even with among other players as well, and
Hmm.
it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's kind of also a real world situation too, because in the
True.
real world, things like that very similar happen.
Hmm.
Like you're about to kill your enemy, but then you realize your bullet's not going out, and you're like,
Yep.
shit.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so
It's funny, actually. There's a clip of that I think it made it into the video. I would have to double check it by watching it, but in the Objectives 101 video, there's a scene where I run into the courtyard and pull the flag because it was either King of the Hill or Capture the Flag or something. And you can see me turn around after getting killed. I pull the flag, I turn around after getting killed, and I pick my battery up off the ground because this gun, which there's a reason that there is Velcro right here on the stock, because without this, this latch is just a simple bump from flying off. And so I started Velcroing it down because otherwise I would knock my battery compartment open all the time and my batteries would fall out.
I
So,
can imagine that where you're around a corner
yeah,
and you bump your elbow up and then your
yep,
thing just
yeah.
flies the other direction.
It'd be like, hang on a second while I grab my battery off the ground. So, yeah, that's
Oh,
since
geez.
fixed. But, yep, yep.
That is
Oh,
pretty funny.
slight design flaw on that gun, I will say. But
Oh my gosh.
what was it?
Yeah.
$5 of Velcro, problem
Hey, as
solved.
long as it fixed the problem, why not?
Yep, yep.
Well, that's
So
pretty cool.
yeah,
That is pretty awesome.
so
And so out of curiosity, when you play your games, I mean, especially
hmm
at Fox Airsoft, I mean, how is the feel of the field when you're playing it? I mean, do you run into a bunch of amateurs most of the time? Is it a bunch of kids? Is it a bunch of kind of a mix of everything? Is there cheaters? I mean, does that happen
uh,
often?
it's Fox is a very varied field, to be honest. I enjoy night games because there typically tends to be a little more skill involved there, and it's not just crowded with new people. But I also enjoy going and showing up on Saturday mornings when you've got a dozen rentals, and a lot of people, seem to have problems with rentals. But at the same time, I'm like, first of all, you're somebody I get to shoot at, so that's fun. But it's also a great opportunity to be that person that can be introducing to somebody to the sport and be like, here's some tips. A lot of times, you'll see it at Fox. You'll be like, you might want to turn your mag because they'll have the high cap mags and they'll be winding them sideways or tilted up, and you'll be like, you might want to make sure your gun is horizontal and the mag's upright when you're winding those because you will ruin the mag. So yeah, it's fun. You can share tips with people. You run into some cheaters there occasionally, but I wouldn't say it's any worse than any other field, really.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, I have to have I have a similar feel of that. I mean, in my particular case, it's kind of a mix. It's like, you do have rentals, of course,
Hmm.
and I like to use them because they're good decoys and they're good people just to run in just to
Absolutely.
see if there's people there, and then of course they get killed,
Hmm.
and of course once they get killed, you know the enemy's position,
Yep.
and that's when you technically take them out at that point. But
Yes.
but at the same time, yeah, I have to concur with you, especially with the cheaters part. It's
Hmm.
at least in my case, it's rare, but it does happen, and I
Hmm.
have plenty of videos of that. And I try to because I don't want to be one of those YouTubers that take advantage of cheater recordings
Hmm.
and trying to shame people out.
Yeah.
That's not my flavor. I don't like doing that. And
Yeah.
even with the latest video I posted, even though I showed it just briefly, I also was trying to be positive about it, saying, "Hey, these things happen, but when they
Yep.
happen, don't let it bother you. We're all here out have fun,
Yeah.
right?" So it's more of trying to educate the audience that
Hmm.
it's at the end of the game, it's just a game,
Yeah.
and don't let it drag you down. So
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, there's a kind of funny story with some rentals too. Let's see, would have been August. I think it was August. We were playing a game. You know how they've been doing the combined field games at the end of the day on Saturdays on occasion with the CQB map in the prison. So we started the game, and our team absolutely dominated, held down the prison. The people couldn't move out of the CQB. I think it was the second half of the game. They couldn't move out of the CQB field. And one of the refs comes, he goes, in fact, I think it was Eli. He goes, "You're going to hate me, but I'm going to have you switch." Switches me over to the other team, which was essentially all rentals. But I got on the other team. I just hung out and spawned until I had, like, I don't know, probably a good dozen or 15 rentals with me. And then we came up to the CQB field, and then I just got all amped up and pumped up, and I was like, charge, 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 and just got everybody running across the field, and we made it in. Ended up pulling the flag, so we had our new respawn point. And then in the last like minute and a half, I ran up and grabbed the briefcase and brought it back, and we ended up winning. So it was like they switched my team. I turned around, grabbed a bunch of rentals, and then we went and beat the team I had been on. It was pretty funny.
That's cool. I mean, and that's cool how you handle that too. I mean, you took,
Mm-hmm.
it seemed kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
really? Do I have to do that? But then you turn it
Mm-hmm.
around and worked to your advantage. You ended up winning anyway.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's a good
Well,
sport.
yeah, and exactly. See, that's like the thing with the whole sport too, is like you'll see, when people are new, they just need that one or two people there to get them amped, and then they'll, come with you, just you lead the way and they'll come with you, and it's good stuff that way.
Oh, absolutely. And that's cool. And hopefully you had all that on video.
I didn't, which stinks because that was before I started my channel, so I hadn't, started recording anything or not yet, but I was like, man, this would have been a great moment for YouTube. The
Oh
charge of
yeah.
the 600 into the Valley of Death or whatever.
Yeah, but believe me, that's
It was
happened to
pretty
me
funny.
too. I was like, damn, I didn't record that. I didn't get it on recording.
It's always the best moments that you don't get. I have a moment.
Absolutely.
Marcus out there at Fox?
Marcus, I am familiar with the name. I just can't put a face
Okay.
on him.
Yeah, he usually runs him and Peyton usually run with World War II kits. They have like I think Marcus has like a sergeant's outfit. He's in
Ah,
his
now I know
30s
who
or
you're
something.
talking about. Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
I know who
yeah.
he is now. Yeah.
Another great moment for YouTube that didn't get on video. Me and Marcus have the current record for Black Hawk Down on that field. It's something like 37 seconds into the beginning of the game. We got the dummy and got it back and won the game.
37
So,
seconds.
yeah, we just charged in there. I think there were three guys with us for like bullet shields, and we just ran in, grabbed the dummy, and ran out. It was either Black Hawk Down or Green Dragon, one of the two. The only difference is one's a dummy, one's a mortar shell. But it was like so far no one's broken that record to my knowledge.
Okay,
So
okay. I'll see if
yeah,
I can. I'll start focusing on that and see if I can break it.
yeah. I want Fox to have a leaderboard for stuff like that. That would be funny.
Oh yeah,
But
that'd be cool if they invested something like that. I could see a little competition if that was posted on a board. I mean, that would
absolutely,
be pretty neat to see.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, it was funny.
I definitely relate on like things not being recorded when you need them to be because like in
Mm-hmm.
my particular case, it just recently happened. I'm sure you heard about it, but my foot failed, and
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah.
yeah, and it's funny because I pushed the foot very hard. And of course, just to give a little context to the audience here, is that I had surgery on my foot about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I went through rehab on it and been trying very hard to basically get the foot fully recovered. And part of the rehab is that you have to constantly keep using the foot, and if you don't, then you're not going to have a full recovery. So that's part of the reason why I'm in airsoft is to force myself to exercise to use the foot, right?
Yep.
But it's funny because all those times I've been pushing the foot, I never actually had it literally fail on me before. And of course, when I say failed,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about where I could no longer move it anymore, and it would just hurt if I
Mm-hmm.
just simply move on any angle, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't the ankle itself; it was at the area where I had the surgery, and it
Mm-hmm.
was focusly on, or it was localized on that part of the foot. So,
Yep.
so it literally failed, and I was running up, and I saw the target. I took him out, but right when I took him out, right out of that second, that's when my foot failed. And of course, when you're running you're doing this, and then when it hits the foot that it hurts, I mean, you react, and then you fall, and now I can't get back up because the foot is
Yeah.
just hurting, like hell. And
Mm-hmm.
and then Spaz, he noticed me, I was down, so he kept asking me if
Mm-hmm.
I was all right, and I told him no, I need help off the field because I can't get back up.
Yeah.
And of course, he was able to help me off the field. So when I got back to the bench, I was like, oh, please tell me I have that recorded. Please tell me I have it recorded. And I checked the GoPro, and Lord behold, I did.
Yeah.
And the GoPro overheated right when I got up to the bench. So it
Oof.
was like perfect timing. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank you.
Hmm.
Because I may post that out probably maybe in a few weeks. I have to
Hmm.
do something with the thumbnail because I like to use the thumbnail of Spaz literally, dragging me off the field, but I don't
Hmm.
have a direct photo shot of that. So I guess on our next team meet, I might ask him, hey, can we reduplicate you dragging me off the field real quick so we can take a photo of it?
I'm, I mean, our team is good at recreating things. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll be asking him that. I'm sure he'll be like, hell yeah, man, let's do it, even though we're faking it. But
yeah.
so,
I wanted to double around real quick on something you had said earlier about your. We were talking about the pictures from that first day when I met you. Uh, on those earphones you have, because I just got a pair because I sold my helmet for $100 because I continuously take it off after the first game of playing. So I just don't run a helmet well. My head gets too hot. So I just was like, I'm gonna get a PTT with a headset that will go over my hat. And so I was just gonna see, do those earphones you had have I think it's called like low decibel amp or something. These ones I got have that. You put a battery in, so they cancel sound, but also low decibel sounds. They'll amplify those into your hearing in the headset.
um, how should I try to accurately answer that? Um, because it comes down to the wording you're using.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to answer as best I can. So
Mm-hmm.
in my particular case, it is highly sensitive and it does give me an advantage if someone's around the corner. And
Mm-hmm.
so it does lock down to, of course, this only works if there's no other loud sound around the surrounding area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's just me and it's quiet in that area, it'll actually help me pinpoint if someone's actually around that corner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's what the advantage of mine has.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course, another disadvantage about it is that if I'm wearing that walkie-talkie module,
Mm-hmm.
um, it kind of prevents that option from occurring, if that makes sense. So my sensitivity
Okay.
actually decreases
Yeah.
when I have
I
that
have.
walkie-talkie module on.
I haven't tested these yet. Because I was looking, I was like, what's a good headset? And so I quit searching for Airsoft Ear Pro and started looking at hunting ones. And these ones are supposed to be able to pick up fairly like quiet footsteps and stuff like that and amp them up. So, I'll have to test them in the gameplay and see how they work. But, it just, I saw that. I was like, well, we'll give these a go. They still have the mic and stuff to hook to a walkie talkie if I need it. But like, maybe being able to have that extra hearing advantage would be great, especially since I'm usually deaf anyway.
All right, well, cool. Well, you're gonna hate me, but we have to go on a commercial break again.
That's all
So,
good.
so let's just go on a commercial break, and we'll get back on it, and then we'll finish out the episode.
All righty, sounds good. We'll see you in a. All right,
All right, excellent.
perfect.
Well, again, sorry about that. I appreciate
Oh,
you
it's
being my
good. It's a
guinea
good.
pig on this first episode.
No
So,
worries.
believe me, on the second episode, I'm gonna work all these issues out. So
No
that's
worries. Well, I ran and grabbed these. This is the Ear Pro I was talking about. So you can see they have a PTT, but apparently they are supposed to pick up like footsteps and small noises and like amplify them so you can hear, who's around you and stuff better.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that
yeah,
sounds like what mine does. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see how they play. I haven't used them in
Yeah.
the game yet, but
Well, we could definitely get a few rentals to test
oh
with.
yeah, of course. Yep, yep. So yeah, are you gonna go to the game at Dynamic then, or
It depends. Depends how the schedule works out because with
fair
my
enough?
working schedule, it's very chaotic.
Yeah.
So, but um, I will try to attend if I have the availability. So,
Bet.
But I
that would be
definitely am
awesome.
coming on the what is it? Is it the 26th? Yeah, it's on the 26th. I'm definitely attending the 26th team meetup.
Okay, okay, this weekend. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wish I could make that. Um, Hopefully by next week I'll actually have a vehicle to drive. That would be tremendous.
Well, I heard about that and that just sucks, how that went down. I mean, it just
hmm
uh, at least it sounds like that you have a solution
Yeah,
to address
yeah,
it, which is
yeah.
good.
It looks like it. Fingers crossed, of course. But yeah, it the part that really bit was putting together the front end of the vehicle and then test driving it. And either I didn't clamp the hose clamp down tight enough, or it failed, which I think it failed, and so the transmission fluid blew out while it was driving. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's never good.
yeah, no, it's not. But
But hopefully it gets taken care of, but
mhm.
it's especially quickly.
Yes, yep, yep. So yeah, so and then but providing that I have a vehicle to drive, I should be back to playing again by November. Uh, Probably would be like the second half of November or something. We've got hunting season coming up here. Second, I think that's the first week of November. It's like at the end of that to the end of the second week, and so kind of in that range. But yeah, so first time I've taken time off work to go hunting since I was 18. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun year.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and of course I feel jealous about this because with my scheduling, it's very difficult for me to do something like that,
Yeah.
and but I don't know, maybe someday.
Yep.
Maybe I'll
Hopefully.
take one of Elon Musk's rockets to Mars and I can go hunting on Mars,
There you go. That would be something else.
even though there's nothing there yet.
Well,
So
don't worry. There'll be a Dollar General there before anyone knows
Dollar
it.
General before you know it. Yeah, yeah, you never know. Just give it time. But some of the things
Yep.
he's been doing, it's quite impressive, especially with that big what do you call it? That module, rocket module,
hmm
that came back
Yep.
intact and was caught in midair on
Yep.
the launch platform.
hmm
That's pretty cool to see.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. No, that's it's mind blowing for sure. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, crazy.
But I don't know. Maybe as that type of technology improves, maybe airsoft will improve along with it, and we'll have like
I
laser guns.
I mean, you can hope. I jokingly said it earlier, but someday somebody's going to show up with a mech suit at airsoft. We all know it's going to happen. So it's just a matter of time. It's like I have a few builds that I would love to do in the future just for fun, kind of crazy ones. One of them, I want to get a HPA engine and make a wizard staff that fires tracer BBs rather than a gun. So you can just be.
That
So
would be pretty cool.
we'll see if that project ever comes to fruition, but
Well, you never
it
know.
sounds
It
funny,
it could just give it
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
It could for sure.
yep,
And but that's the beauty about this hobby. I mean, you have some creative
absolutely.
individuals in it, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I to go with this flag here. One of the projects that I'm trying to get done probably won't be in the works until the start of next summer, and probably won't be done until the end of next summer. Is a period accurate replica of a radio for like the Marines would have used in Tarawa or the later battles in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Uh, so uh, SCR 300, I think, is the name of the radio. But um, it's going to be a build, primarily sheet metal, a little bit of wood. And then I was looking at Amazon. I was like, I could probably buy a lot of like little knobs and stuff for the for it from there. And then I was thinking about wiring it with a phone jack, so you could put your smartphone inside of the lid and then plug into it and actually use it as a phone just for fun. We'll see if that ends up happening to that or not. But
Well, that'd be pretty cool. I mean,
yep,
that's
it's a
it's
project though.
yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. And
Mm-hmm.
I just how to express this? It's it can get interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. I was very pleased to see that Amazon and some of the websites like that have like period accurate like handheld heads or like like a phone from the olden days. But it was like, okay, well, this one looks about right, that one looks about right, and so you can get those kinds of phones, and that'll be huge because the biggest problem with making like reproduction radios and things like that is getting a thing that looks like a handset, like a radio headset from back in the day versus something that looks too new or, whatnot.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely. I understand where you're coming from with that because I think it was like years ago. I bought like one of those old
mm-hmm.
big uh banana phones. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but when I was growing up, we had these, and
Yeah.
they're like this big and up to your ear and whatnot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that was before caller ID. That was before cell phones. That was a
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And a matter of fact, with the phone device that we had mounted on our wall, we had like a
Mm-hmm.
little spinning. I don't know what you
Oh
call
yeah.
it. It's like a
The
spinning.
rotary.
Yeah, where you hit a
Yeah.
number, you rotate it, and you let go, and it spins, and then you hit the next
Mm-hmm.
number, rotate it, and it spins.
Yep.
So I remember having one of those. So years ago, I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I was trying to see if I can have like a like what you're talking about, like a replica,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And I found one, and the replica it hooks up to a USB. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, it's not exactly what I
Yeah.
had, but you could still plug it into a
Yeah.
computer and you can use it
It.
as a so.
Yeah. It's funny because there's actually there is a niche for that now too of people being like, well, I want the retro look. So like you've got reproduction record players, reproduction rotary phones, microwaves, stuff like that. It's funny because it looks like it's period accurate, but obviously it's way more efficient
Mhm.
and so forth and so on. So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. But hey, if we wait long enough, maybe we won't have to build any of that anymore. It's going to be all AI that does it for
Well,
us.
we'll see if they don't wipe us out first. you know,
I know,
it,
right?
I was
First,
joking with a guy at Fox a month or so back. I think it was the last time, or maybe the time before that I was at Fox. I was joking with the guy. I was like, "Yeah, people didn't realize how valuable those squirt guns were going to be in the next war when we're fighting the robots, their electronics."
I know, right? And it's funny because it starts harmless and then it can escalate out of control. Because like
Yep.
I think it was on the Discord channel how long ago? Maybe a week ago. Posted a
Mm-hmm.
picture of a T1 a T800 model Terminator,
Yes.
and I was
Yep.
like, okay, it's ready for testing at the airsoft field. But it keeps asking for a real weapon, but I'm just gonna give it an airsoft gun.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and we'll see how that goes.
Well, I mean, it's like
Uh,
Hassan and Sparky, he's got that whole project there, but, things are just, they're going this way, not that way.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, for sure. But all right, man. Well, awesome. I mean, I thank you a lot for being my guinea pig
of
on this
course,
first episode, and I learned a lot from it. So thank you
same.
for again being the test bed on this.
Of course,
Um,
of course. I appreciate it.
yeah, and
Been my
and
pleasure.
once I plan to iron a lot of this stuff out, and then
Hmm.
on the next episode it should be fixed, and then in the future we could definitely I'll definitely invite you back on, and
Sounds
should be a
good.
lot more smoother at that point.
Of course.
But
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll
Well,
be looking forward to it.
yeah, feel free to let the audience know who you are again,
Okay.
and where they can reach you on social media.
Bet. Yep. I'm call sign Jagged on YouTube. John is my name. Um, I would just throw a plug on too if you guys are in the Colorado area. If you're in any area, but if you're in the Colorado area and you're looking for gameplay that's not at the original fields, go to Facebook and look for what's the name? Look for Western Alpine Altitude Airsoft Squad Players, aka WASPs Facebook group. We've got a pretty quickly growing group, and there's people from Grand Junction and Meeker and Rifle and all this and that, and we're like kind of trying to bring together players that aren't in the Denver area as well, and so we're like a team. I'm on the team of Legions, but I also kind of recruit for Legions through Wasps, and so uh, feel free to check out our Facebook page there and our group. So,
All
but
right,
yeah,
awesome. A good deal. And thanks again,
thank you.
and you have a good night, and I'm sure we'll
You
talk soon.
also, of course, we will. Take care now.